Hi everyone, good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. I know the weekend is sad, it's over, and we're all like grumpy and grouchy getting into work on a Monday morning, whatever means of methods we are using right now to get to work. I can definitely see in my office around me, there's not many pleasant faces on a Monday morning. That being said, one of the great Roman emperors, not in terms of history, but because of his philosophy, is Marcus Aurelius. Sashwath has read lots of his books and spent a lot of time reading meditations over and over again. And he loves Stoicism and he believes in Stoicism and he feels that it's one of the best ways to cope with living this world. And I thought it would be great for Sashwath to share learnings in meditation and his why he likes Marcus. And I thought we can talk about. I've written down 10 things I wanted to ask him from meditations, and I thought I'd ask him his views on these 10 things. So without wasting much time. So Shashwat, why Marcus, man? Why do you like Marcus so much?
Yeah, plenty of reasons to like Marcus, very few not to like him. And whatever few reasons there are possibly to not like him, they've been lost to time. So what's left of him is the great part.
Well said.
So that's where I'll stand on that. But also, one of the things which Marcus does, it's not how eloquent he is in his writing or how the ideas he's espoused. Yes, both of them are very nice. He writes in a very poetic way and he's exceptionally smart in what he's written. But putting those two things aside, the best part about Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, Roman emperor, is that him being the most powerful man in the world, he is very human. He comes down to a very human level and he writes in his journal. Meditations is sort of journal writing thing, his diary. And he writes in it about places where he should improve. He writes messages to himself where he thinks he needs to improve, things he needs to remember. And that's something which is exceptionally phenomenal. He has no reason to be working on himself. He has no reason to be improving. He could have done what most Roman emperors did, which was, be surrounded by women, be surrounded by luxury, be surrounded by liquor and vices and gambling. All these things were what Roman emperors were known for. Look at Nero, look at Commodus, look at Caligula. All these guys, if you Google up their names, are some of the worst Roman emperors to have existed. And even some of the best ones were known to be womanizers, abusers of drugs, abusers of liquor. These are the kind of people you see when you give them unlimited power and unlimited wealth. However, here is this lone man standing apart from the crowd, and he says, you give him unlimited power, and what he does with it, first off, he gives half of the power away to his brother. And he's actually very sad and he cries when he gets to know that he's been made the emperor of Rome. He ends up crying and he ends up giving away half his power when he becomes emperor to his brother, half brother. And he keeps working on himself. And there's a famous story of Marcus when he's about 40 years old, little later into his life, in his middle ages. And by this time, he's a very prolific emperor. Everyone in the empire loves him. He's a very popular ruler. And one day, one of his helpers find him walking down the road out of the palace. So they stop him and say, Marcus, where are you going? And Marcus says, I'm going to Sextus the philosopher to learn things I don't know yet, with a tablet in hand. And if you guys don't know, a tablet in hand basically is like a mini blackboard in hand to go write notes. And he was going and being a school-going boy, he says that I'm going to go meet this philosopher to learn things I don't know yet. At 45 years or whatever his age was then. Just imagine that. Can you guys imagine at 40 years old? Look at the people around you. If you're not 40, look at the people around you. Or if you're 40 or above, look at yourself. Could you imagine saying that I'm, one day you walk out with a classmate notebook and a pen like a student and say, today I'm going to learn something I haven't learned before. Well, a lot of you are watching our channel and that means that some of you are doing this. But a majority of the people who are around this age don't. No one has the humility to realize that there is so much they don't know as of yet. And the biggest mistake you can make is thinking that you already know. And what another teacher of Marcus, philosopher known as Epictetus, says is that if you think you already know it, then there's no way I can teach you. So that is something which I'm sure our viewers are not familiar with it, because all of you are watching us because you have this keen sense of learning and upgrading yourself and upskilling yourself. So I don't think a lot of you can relate to this, but a lot of you can see people around you doing this. And this is not something which bodes well for us in like the rest of your
As
life.
a society as a whole, doesn't bode well for us.
Yeah, you want to keep learning and you want to remain humble, and you need to have humility. And that's something I learned from Marcus. And Marcus acted, he didn't speak. He didn't talk about his memoir, wasn't how great I was. It wasn't talking about all his achievements. And if you look at most emperors of the past, they'll have edicts, huge edicts and huge letters which they've posted publicly talking about all the great things they've done under their reign. Marcus doesn't have any of this. He has his meditations only to sort of remind himself that he's human and he's fallible and he has a lot of things to work on. That's sort of why I like him a lot.
Great. So these are the 10 things which Marcus, main topics which he deals with in the meditations. And I thought I'll quickly run through Sashwath and get his opinion on it. First one he talks about is the impermanence of life. Sashwath, what is that, impermanence of life?
So a lot of us live as if we are immortals, but our wants and desires are very mortal. So our wants and desires, a lot of it can be that, you want to be either very rich, you want to own Ferraris and Lamborghinis. I'm not above this. My dream car is a Ferrari, like I've said many times in many videos. And a lot of us want a huge bungalow. A lot of us want 2 guard dogs in that bungalow sitting like this under your feet.
Be rich.
Be rich. This is what most people want. And if a lot of us are guys, we think that being surrounded by women is a great thing to have and it's a great place to be.
Yeah.
And these are the kind of things people want. But this is very mortal. But we live as if we're immortal, in the sense that we spend so much time wasting so much time. I myself am party to this, where it takes me a good 20 minutes to get out of bed and sort of get on with my day. It's not immediately it's not like the army where people have to get out of bed, make your bed immediately, go hit the showers, 5 minutes for your cold shower, get out and start your work. That is how people are trained in the army. That is not something all of us do.
No.
And all of us are used to sort of fighting.
Meandering through.
Yeah, meandering through. You sit on the bed, do this, do that. It takes you a long time to sort of get on with your day. And we waste a lot of time. We scroll on Instagram, we watch memes. Not a bad thing. Good to have some leisure in your life. But a lot of us excessively spend time on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. A lot of these are the places where we waste a lot of time. It's like a pot filled with many holes. Imagine your life is a pot full of water. Precious resource. And now imagine that you are carrying this pot of water in a drought. Just imagine how precious this water is. And now imagine that your pot has 10 holes. One of these holes is Instagram. One of these other holes is lounging before getting up out of bed.
True.
Another one of these holes is basically, idle chatter. Idly sitting and wasting your time doing something or the other. And this is not to say that your hobbies are a waste of time. Hobbies are a great use of time. You should be painting, you should be drawing, you should be doing reading. All these are things where you express yourself and it's a great thing to do. But something like scrolling on your phone for hours and hours on end, or idle chatter, even good chatter where you have conversations with your peers on, technical stuff or on things which you find close, near and dear to your heart, that's great. But idle gossip, as my uncle puts it, Collywood gossip on which actress is married, which actor, and which heroine has come out and said what about which hero. All of this is sort of acting as if you have an enormous amount of time, but you don't even know whether you live till tomorrow.
True.
And Marcus says, don't assume that you're going to live till tomorrow. Don't assume you're going to wake up tomorrow.
Yes.
Understand that life is impermanent.
Very true. 2. Control and acceptance. What do you mean by that?
Control and acceptance, very simple. 2 things. What are you doing that is under your control? What is outside of your control? Is it outside? Okay, is this troubling me? Is this inside my control or outside my control? It's inside my control. Okay, then I can do something. Can I do something about it or not? I can do something about it. Okay, do something about it. Okay, now let's roll back. Something is troubling me. It's out of my control. Can I do something about it? No. Why worry? That's a very simple question. A lot of us don't have an answer to. And that's what Marcus keeps asking himself. You have to catch yourself. It's like you're falling. And in the middle of the fall, you have to catch yourself and say, hey, is this inside my control or outside my control? If it's not in my control, then worrying about it is just making me feel bad for no payoff. If it's inside my control and I can do something about it, why worry? Just do the action. Focus on the process and don't focus on the result. No, there shouldn't be worrying regardless. And a lot of our misery stems from this worry. We imagine things have happened which haven't even happened. We suffer more in our imagination than in reality, Seneca says.
Very true. Number 3, duty and responsibility.
Duty and responsibility. Marcus, as a leader of Rome, talks about it in a very philosophical way. He says there is a duty placed upon him by the gods. May not be for us. Your duty may be just to do what is best for your family. Or in fact, I'd say make it more personal. What is your duty to yourself? Do you love yourself? If you love yourself, then what do you owe yourself? You owe yourself good food habits. You owe yourself good exercise. You owe yourself good mental stimulation. What do I mean by these things? Good food habits. Try not to eat as much junk. Keep your body happy. The way your body is happy, when you wake up in the morning, you should feel good and vigorous, and you should feel not groggy. You should feel quite active. That's the kind of foods you should be eating. It should be energizing you and powering through your day and not adding weight to you and not sort of weighing you down. That is what I mean by that. 2, what do I mean by exercise? Your body feels good when it exercises. If you go on a run, 2-kilometer run, 1-kilometer run, 500-meter run, your body has this thing called runner's high and you feel wonderful. So that shows you that your body is meant for physical activity. We are meant to exercise. We are meant to run and do things. Do that. Keep yourself in shape. Keep yourself happy. People are proven to be happier when they exercise. Right? And 3, what do I mean by mental stimulation? A lot of us feel bored very easily. And one of the biggest vices is boredom.
True.
When we're bored, we end up doing things we regret. And the best way to stave off boredom is to do something which will mentally drain you. You should be working in a way where by the end of the night, when you hit the bed, you just pass out. That's the kind of tiredness you need to feel after a good day's of work. And this is only achieved by a mixture of good food, good exercise, and good mental stimulation. Because if you eat terrible food, you're going to stay up because of whatever health problems. If you don't exercise, your body will be active even if your brain is not active. 2, 3, your mind needs to be exercised like a muscle and it needs to be worked on. And these are the 3 things you need to owe yourself. And this is your duty towards yourself. And your duty towards your family is to take care of them and give them what they gave you when you were younger.
Inner resilience.
Inner resilience is purely just having the grit, courage, and bravery to go through the toughest parts of life. A lot of us, and there's no exception to this, every single one of us is tested in life in some way or the other. There is no discrimination of age. Doesn't matter what age you are. You may be 5 years old, you may be 50 years old. There are going to be things which are going to, you're going to struggle with. Be it a death of a loved one, which is grief, or be it, extremely terrible working conditions, but you have no other job but to work. You need inner resilience. You need to be mentally tough. You need to be able to wake up and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to get through this regardless of what's happening outside, because all that matters right now is me performing my duty for myself, for my family, and for my greater place in this universe. So inner resilience is having that courage to go about your day even when you're scared of going about your day. It's to overcome that fear and it's to overcome that resistance. That is what inner resilience is.
Human brotherhood.
Human brotherhood, Marcus says, just be kind. A lot of us forget, in the hustle and bustle of city life especially, is that we forget that other people are human too. Every one of us is suffering in some way or the other. All of us have something or the other coming up, and a lot of us are having our own struggles. It does not cost you much more to be a little more kind to the people who are around you. Be a little kinder to your family. Be a little kinder to your friends, your co-workers, your boss, your person who's working under you. Everyone deserves kindness. That's what Marcus talks about.
Correct. Death as a natural process.
Death as a natural process. Grief is very difficult to process, and Marcus talks about it. He's lost 5 of his children. He's lost his parents. He's lost his grandparents who he was very close with, who raised him. He's faced a lot of loss in his life. And he was born during when there's a plague. Like how we had our COVID. Even worse, they didn't have vaccines then.
They didn't have medicines either.
They didn't have medicines either, and they couldn't run away from the plague like how we were able to sort of block the COVID virus with vaccines. So during this period, there was a lot of loss he faced in his life, and he kept reminding himself, death is a natural process of life. It's something which happens to everyone, and no one is barred from the effects of death. I just have to make my peace with it.
And not to be scared.
And not to be scared. Live your life without being petrified.
True. The last and the most important one, before Sashwath rounds it off, is self-reflection.
Self-reflection ties everything together, in my opinion, because you can't have any of these things without reflecting on yourself. You need to be able to go back and see what you have done and see where you need improvement. At the end of the day, this might be a mental checklist. You may make I do this, but you can make a checklist in the morning of things you want to get done. You don't have to put it down in words if you don't want to do that. You just have to think about it. Spend 10 minutes just thinking about all the things you want to do today. It may be something material. It may be, study for 5 hours. Work on something apart from just my professional occupation. Work on building a business. This may be a material thing. It could also be something as arbitrary as be kind to someone new. Someone new, all of us meet someone new every day. And, your goal could be just be kind to one of those people who you meet for the first time. That could be a goal. So there are many goals to have. You can set these for yourself, no matter what the size of the goal is. And then at the end of the day, when you're going to sleep, when you're laying down in bed or sitting at your desk before lying down after eating dinner, just think back onto the things you had planned for the day. How much of it were you able to achieve? How much of it were you not able to achieve? Why were you able to achieve the things you achieved? Why were you not able to achieve the things you set out to achieve? This will tell you what kind of person you are, and it will give you more of an insight into how your brain works, and it will help you achieve some of the things which you weren't able to achieve in a short few period of days, weeks, or months. I promise you that.
I think we should conclude this video. I think Sashwath has explained very eloquently why meditation is such a wonderful book, and I strongly urge all of you to read it and try and practice some of what Marcus says. It's not very difficult, taking small steps towards self-improvement. So finally you can lower the anxiety in your life and learn to accept the world we live in. I know there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of heated opinions about all the conflicts, but do realize something. Conflict is part of this world. It's part of human nature to argue, fight, and to raise arms. And as much as we feel like we should get rid of it, it is part of us. So to accept it, I think it will be easier for us to find solutions to it than trying to get rid of it. Anyway, something to think about as you get into your day, and I'll see you in the next one in the evening. Thanks for watching the video and the podcast. With that, me and Sashwath sign off. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.